Welcome to today's explainer. So, I want you to picture this for a second. A small candy taps against a glass bowl. A plastic wrapper gently shifts. A handful of little colorful pieces rattles softly together. A container opens, and somehow, that tiny little sound fills your attention way more than its physical size should actually allow. Today, we're diving deep into the mechanics of candy ASMR, and we're going to uncover exactly why these incredibly tiny sounds can feel so remarkably big to our brains.
Now, you already know these sounds help you relax and focus, right? But seriously, why do such tiny, seemingly insignificant sounds feel so incredibly big to us? Well, the secret lies entirely in scale and attention. As you'll see, small sounds become massive when the brain really zeroes in and focuses closely.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the magic of tiny sounds and how we narrow that focus.
Think about it. In our everyday, chaotic world, a tiny sound, like a candy tapping a dish, completely disappears, right? It just gets swallowed up by the background noise of traffic, phone notifications, people talking. It is literal sensory chaos out there. But step into the ASMR world, and the stage becomes incredibly narrow. You've got a super close microphone, the camera is right up there, the movement is deliberately, intentionally slow. That tiny sound gets a dedicated, narrow stage all to itself. And giving it that stage changes how our attention functions entirely. Instead of your brain frantically scanning the whole chaotic world for threats or new information, it's finally given permission to just relax and follow one small object.
Moving on to Section 2, the science of focus. Let's look at the research and mechanisms behind this.
What's truly fascinating here is the growing body of actual research that supports how gentle sensory media calms us down. For instance, researchers Barratt and Davis found that people commonly use these experiences specifically for relaxation, sleep, and mood support. Even more wild, Poerio and her colleagues discovered that people who respond to ASMR actually showed a physically reduced heart rate and an improved mood while engaging with these sounds. And then you have research by Fredborg, Clark, and Smith highlighting that our individual differences in this response are linked to our own sensory sensitivity. Now, a very important caveat here. These studies don't prove that candy ASMR is a medical treatment for sleep or anxiety, okay? It's a complementary wellness tool. But this research absolutely helps explain why shifting to these simple tasks, like just listening to a tap or watching a pour, can have such a profound, literal physical effect on our bodies.
And that brings us to the power of scale. Because the objects in candy ASMR are so intensely tiny, you mentally lean in. Your attention becomes super precise. The sound feels bigger simply because the world around it becomes quieter. It's actually the exact same reason that miniature scenes or tiny toy kitchens can be so calming for people. They literally reduce the size of the world. Your nervous system is no longer being asked to process everything all at once. Instead, it is being asked to notice just one safe detail.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 3. A symphony of textures, and the specific triggers involved.
You see, candy sounds aren't just a random wall of noise. They actually give us a rich sensory toolkit, taking abstract sounds and turning them into this beautifully structured menu of unique details for the ear. Think about it. Taps are short and clear, right? They give you this distinct punctuation. Rattles create these wonderful, soft clusters of sound. Wrappers add that amazing crinkle and friction. Containers introduce satisfying clicks and this really cool sense of hollow space. And pores. Pores create pure motion and rhythm. Each and every one of these actions gives your ear an entirely different kind of detail to process and just enjoy.
But hey, it's not just about the audio. Visual texture totally matters too. Bright colors and simple sorting patterns give your brain this really easy, predictable scene to follow, which honestly makes it so much easier to just relax into the whole experience.
Let's look at Section 4, the brain's prediction game and the power of expectation.
This all comes down to a really cool concept called predictive processing. As neuroscientist Friston theorized back in 2010, your brain is essentially a prediction machine. It is constantly, always anticipating what is coming next based on what it currently sees in front of it.
Let's look at how this plays out in real time, because it's super interesting. Step 1. You see a hand lift a container. Instantly, Step 2, your brain predicts the sound of a pour. And finally, Step 3, you hear that exact sound. Boom. That confirmation feels deeply, physically satisfying to us. If candy pieces roll toward a bowl, your brain expects taps. If a wrapper folds, your brain is waiting for that crinkle. When the sound finally arrives, the prediction is confirmed. In fact, research points out that pleasant auditory experiences can actively engage our emotion and reward networks.
It's basically a closed, incredibly satisfying loop of expectation and reward.
All right, Section 5, Safe Sensory Exploration and Setting ASMR Boundaries.
Balance is absolutely key here, guys. Candy ASMR relies on a quiet, predictable environment. It can quickly become harsh if wrappers are too sharp, if candies hit a hard surface too loudly, or if the pace just gets frantic. Visually, too, If the colors are too bright, too fast, or too cluttered, that calm feeling can instantly disappear. So setting a few simple boundaries ensures the whole experience stays gentle. First off, keep the volume low. If you're sensitive, definitely avoid sharp or crunchy wrappers, and maybe choose tapping or pouring instead. If you're unwinding before sleep, do yourself a favor and lower your screen brightness, or honestly, just listen without watching at all. Set a timer for sleep, or use short sessions if you're using this to study or focus. And most importantly, literally the biggest rule, if the sound ever becomes irritating, just stop.
I absolutely love this quote. The best trigger is not the one that is popular. The best trigger is the one your body accepts. Remember, the ASMR response is highly personal. Some people absolutely love candy rattles. Others prefer plastic snaps, toy cutting, water, fabric, or even just voice-based triggers. You really have to listen to what actually calms your unique nervous system, not just what happens to be trending online today.
So what's the big takeaway here? Ultimately, exploring this topic teaches us a beautiful, simple lesson. Small sounds can feel enormous when our attention becomes gentle and close. A tiny tap can become a full moment. A soft rattle can become rhythm. A wrapper can become texture. A pour can become a soothing path for the mind to follow. The object is small, the sound is small, but the attention given to it, it's complete. And that right there is exactly why candy ASMR can feel so much bigger than it looks.
I'm going to leave you with this final question to consider as you explore your own sensory preferences today. Which tiny candy sound is best for you? Are you drawn to the clear punctuation of taps, the soft clusters of rattles, the friction of wrappers, or the motion of pours? I really encourage you to see which of these tiny sounds works best for your own focus and relaxation. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and have an amazing time exploring the science of small sounds.